There's no doubt that the 20th century started off on the wrong foot. Proof of this is the loss of almost 10 million human lives during one of the most disturbing conflicts in history, the First World War. In it, the great European powers revealed to the world the massive destruction that the advances of the Industrial Revolution were capable of. But how is it possible that a diplomatic crisis led to such a bloody war of this magnitude? Are you interested in knowing the beginning, course, and outcome of this dark episode? Alright, then stay until the end of the video. To understand the causes of this war, we need to go back to 1860. 1871, Russia and its allies achieve a humiliating defeat of France during the Franco-Prussian War, in which the German Empire is proclaimed in the very Palace of Versailles, consolidating the unification of this great power. In the full zenith of imperialism, the balance of power seems to be in danger with the rise of this new giant, so the powers enter into a game of alliances. First, the Triple Alliance, formed by Germany, then Austria-Hungary and Italy. Its counterpart would be the Triple Entente, signed by Russia, the United Kingdom and France. To these alliances is added an armed peace in which, in the midst of the Second Industrial Revolution, the powers advance in a disproportionate arms race that included the creation of a powerful fleet by the German Empire. Yes, the megalomania of Kaiser Wilhelm II stands out, who had opposed the Frank War. In the political aspect, it is important to highlight the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina by the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which threatened the Republic of Serbian interests of unifying the Serbo-Croatians. This would awaken Republic of Serbian nationalism that led to an unprecedented event, the assassination of the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, at the hands of the Bosnian Gavrilo Princip. In the face of Austria's accusations against Republic of Serbia for being behind this assassination, Europe enters the well-known July crisis, which, while not taken seriously at first, would cause a domino effect. Austria-Hungary declares war on Republic of Serbia-Russia. Protector of the Slavs declares it on Austria. Germany, ally of the Austro-Hungarians, does so with Russia, and France does the same with Germany. The World War had begun. This war would be fought on various fronts: Italy, the Balkans, the Middle East, Africa, the Pacific Ocean, but the most important were the eastern and western fronts within Europe itself. The war would begin in the latter with the German invasion of neutral Belgium and Luxembourg during the Battle of Liège, which is why the United Kingdom declared war on the Central Powers. The Balkan Front also began in August 14 with a failed invasion of Republic of Serbia by Austria-Hungary. During the first few months, the Germans achieved victories over the France with the battles of the frontiers, advancing into France territory according to the Schlieffen Plan. However, they suffer a setback during the First Battle of the Marne, just a few kilometers from Paris, where the Germans are stopped after France sent its reserve troops with United Kingdom support. After this battle begins the trench warfare, a war of attrition in which the armies remained in fortifications dug into the ground with terrible sanitary conditions that caused more deaths than the enemy's firearms themselves. To this is added chemical warfare, with the use of harmful gases that made this a traumatizing experience for the soldiers. Even though the majority of German troops were sent to the Western Front and only a defense contingent was sent, the Russians, with a precarious military training and poorly equipped, suffered harsh defeats in Tannenberg and the Masurian Lakes. Although, on the other hand, the Austro-Hungarians could not repel the Russian invasion in Galicia. From October, new fronts are opened. In the North Sea, Germany begins to bring down United Kingdom ships with their modern one. Although on the Pacific front, they would be defeated by the Australians, allies of the France. Germany starts sinking United Kingdom ships in the North Sea using their Recalling that Germany had Australian colonies in Oceania. It is also worth highlighting the Ottoman Empire's entry into the war. This declining empire, which was quite economically and militarily relegated compared to the other powers, had maintained good relations with Germany since the construction of the Berlin-Baghdad train. Because of this, and in the face of the imminent war that was engulfing the entire continent, it ends up yielding to France. On the Eastern Front, the Russians achieved certain victories, such as in Poland and Lovich. In the West, the attrition in the trenches continued during the First Battle of Ypres with an inconclusive result. Amidst so much hatred and violence, the Christmas truce stands out. in which Germans and United Kingdom cease fire to exchange gifts, bury the fallen, and play a football match, remembering for a moment that before being Germans, they forced the Russians to attrition in the trenches. On the Eastern Front, the France and United Kingdom resuming the battles, now with the Ottomans in the war. The front in the Middle East is inaugurated with the Battle of Gallipoli, in which the France and United Kingdom, supported by the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, tried to take the Dardanelles for direct communication with their ally Russia. The Allies fall to the presence of underwater mines that do not allow the advance of the ships after a year of fighting. An important event occurs on the coasts of Ireland, the sinking of the United Kingdom ship Lusitania by a German U-boat, in which several Americans die, which, as you can imagine, would be the reason for the start of tensions with the neutral power. Regarding the political sphere, it is worth highlighting the London Pact by which the Allies convinced the Italians to switch to their side, betraying the Triple Alliance with the promise of receiving the Italian territories of the Austro-Hungarian Empire if they achieve victory, although, so to speak, the France and United Kingdom have become the first. The Italians start off on the wrong foot, as they cannot advance on the Austrian lines in the battles of Isonzo. Moving to Africa, the United Kingdom receives support from their ever-faithful ally Portugal to attack German Southwest Africa, now Republic of Namibia, from South Africa, successfully annexing this territory, despite the Germans having support from the Boers. Returning to the Eastern Front, the Russians begin to retreat. The United Kingdom forces are in the center of Africa. The Austro-German forces take Brest, now Republic of Belarus Vilna, now Lithuania and Warsaw. In addition, the Central Powers gain a new ally, Bulgaria, who hoped to recover the territories lost during the Second Balkan War. The new ally would support the Austro-Hungarians during the Second Republic of Serbian campaign, which ended in November 1915, and after which the Central Powers achieved a victory over Republic of Serbia and Montenegro. So they had a land connection between Central Europe, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. In February 1916, the longest battle of the Western Front begins, the Battle of Verdun, which would extend until December of the same year. On the Italian-Slovenian border, the Italians are overwhelmed by the Austro-Hungarians during the Fifth Battle of the Isonzo River. Well, in fact, there were 12 of these battles due to the importance of this river, which served as a natural corridor for the Russians. The battle on the Berlin border to the Berlin border, which in the year 1916, at the end of May 1916, the largest naval confrontation of the war takes place during the Battle of Jutland, in which, although the Germans imposed themselves on the Royal Navy fleet, it is considered a United Kingdom strategic victory, in view that the German fleet decides to withdraw without fulfilling its objective of subduing the United Kingdom. With this, the Kaiser decides to keep the fleet in port and continue dedicating himself to the war, to submarine warfare. In the Middle East, the Arab Rebellion begins, in which the Arab people, still under Ottoman rule, start a series of rebellions that were supported by the United Kingdom through the well-known Lawrence of Arabia, with the promise of creating a unified Arab state, the Saudi Arabia. And of course, it would serve to destabilize the enemy of the Allies, the Ottoman Empire. In July, the Allies begin a new attack with the Battle of the Somme, with the aim of distracting the Germans from the Battle of Verdun, although this fight would end up being even more deadly, reaching an approximate of 1 million casualties from both sides. By the end of August, the Germans lose another African colony, this time all at the hands of the Allies, who also gain a new ally. Romania promising the annexation of Transylvania and Bukovina, then under Hungarian rule. Although, of course, also starting off on the wrong foot, being easily invaded by the Central Powers. In the last months of 1916, notable events include the proclamation of the Kingdom of Poland, whose territory was divided between Russia, Austria, and Germany, with the German objective of using it as a puppet state. Also the death of Franz Joseph of Austria. And the end of the battles of Somme and Verdun, the latter being beneficial for France as it prevented the German advance. After 2.5 years of war, both sides were looking for a peace solution, which was suggested by President Woodrow Wilson. However, the demands of the Allies, which included the return of Alsace and Lorraine, would not be accepted by Germany. In the face of American sympathy for the Allies, Germany drafts the Zimmermann Telegram, in which it proposes an alliance with Mexico against the United States, with the promise of recovering the territories lost during the War of 1846. This telegram would be intercepted by United Kingdom intelligence, And when it came to light, the United States broke relations with the Central Powers. With this, added to the naval incidents, the United States enters the war on April 6, 1917. While the Allies gained a new friend, the decline of another began, as the February Revolution began in Russia, due to the population's discontent with the war and poor living conditions. In July, Russia would launch its last offensive, the Kerensky Offensive, in an attempt to hold back the troops of the Central Powers before the arrival of American reinforcements. This campaign being a failure due to Russian instability. On the Eastern Front, the terrible war of attrition continues in battles such as the Third of Ypres and Cambrai. In Italy, the Powers achieve a new victory in the Battle of Caporetto. Although, spoiler, this would encourage the Italians to establish a defensive line on the Piave River that would be of great use later on. Finally, hostilities cease on the Eastern Front after the Bolshevik victory during the October Revolution and with the Treaty of the Caporetto War. In the state of Brest-Litovsk, Russia, now under the command of the revolutionaries, withdraws from the war, handing over Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, among other territories. However, on the other hand, with the victory of the Allies in Mesopotamia, Sinai, Palestine, and during the Arab Rebellion, the declining Ottomans begin to request peace that would later be embodied with the Mudros Armistice. The end of the Ottoman Empire had begun. On the Western Front, the Caporetto War, the Allies achieved new victories such as the Kaiserslag, thanks to the adherence of the United States. And speaking of Uncle Sam, President Wilson had already taken the lead by proposing his 14 points for peace negotiations with the Central Empires. The defeats of the Central Powers continued in the Second Battle of the Marne, which would be the last major German offensive that was repelled by the Allied counterattack, with which the advance was achieved after more than 3 years of war. In the Balkans, Serbia, United Kingdom, France, Italians, and Greeks from North Macedonia launched the Baidar offensive against a Bulgaria that lacked the support of its allies, who were also not doing well on their fronts. This would end in the surrender of the Slavic country, being the first ally of Germany to fall. A month later, the Ottoman Empire is the next to surrender, and after the rebellion would lose all Arab territories, including the country of war, including the Allied occupation in the Dardanelles, Batumi, and the Taurus Mountains, which diminished its territory with the Treaty of Sèvres, although later it would be replaced by the Treaty of Lausanne, after the War of Independence ending in the current Turkey territory. The misfortunes of the Central Powers continue with the 100 Days Offensive, which had begun in August, and with the support of multiple allies, a series of victories are achieved that only push the war back. The Austro-Hungarians would be the next to fall in the Battle of Vittorio Veneto, in which they could not overcome the Italian defenses, due to the lack of reinforcements from hasty Germany on the Western Front. Finally, without any allies, having lost all their territories in Africa and Oceania, having retreated out of France territory, and with an internal revolution demanding the abdication of the monarchy due to the failure of the war, Kaiser Wilhelm finally abdicates and goes into exile, resulting in the subsequent German surrender. The war had come to an end. After the signing of the Armistice of Compiègne, the peace conditions were later ratified in the Treaty of Versailles, where harsh sanctions were imposed on Germany, blaming it as the culprit of the war, forcing it to pay a heavy indemnity and losing much of its territory, as well as all the restriction of the war. The Austro-Hungarian monarchy would also disintegrate after the Treaty of Saint-Germain-en-Laye, leaving the Austrian territory limited by the areas where German was spoken. And from here, new states such as Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia would emerge. As for Italy, they did not get all the territories that had been promised to them. Because of the above and the shameful conditions imposed on the Germans, a marked hatred towards the Allies would arise, which led to the consequent creation of ultra-nationalist ideologies such as Nazism and fascism. And as you can imagine, this would lay the groundwork for the imminent World War II. And what do you think? Do you really think Germany was to blame for this war? Don't forget to leave your comment, and if you like this video, support me with a like and subscribe to my channel. Oh, and if you're interested in supporting this project, any donation on Patreon would be greatly appreciated. See you next time.